I turn to Wyoming Senator John Barrasso, Vice Chairman of the Senate Republican Conference. Senator Barrasso, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Gwen.
We just heard Gene Sperling press the president's case for the tax on the wealthy as a way of paying for this payroll tax. And now we see that Senator McConnell has a different proposal. Which do you think is the better approach?
Well, I think the American people realize that that the problem with this government is that we spend too much. They don't think that we're taxed too little, it's that we spend too much. And I agree with the president that we do need to extend these tax breaks for people all across this country who are stuck living under the Obama economy with 9.9% unemployment in this country. And we need to extend that and allow those people to have an opportunity to have more of their hard-earned money in their own pockets. But I think it should be paid for. I don't think you should just add it to the debt, and the White House hasn't yet said, no, we won't do that. And I don't think that you should raise taxes on anyone during these economic times. If you go to what Bowles and Simpson had mentioned as ways to cut back on the size of government and do a hiring freeze as well as a pay freeze, that is clearly the way that I would see that we should pay for this. Many families across the country are living at 2007, 2008 income levels. I think it's reasonable to have federal government employees living in that way as well.
What about means testing, government health benefits, unemployment compensation, and food stamps? Are you hitting the people who will be hurt the most?
Well, we heard from Senator Coburn here today that there are people actually on unemployment who make huge amounts of money, and as well as those on food stamps. And we want to see I want to see exactly what the language is there. But I think fundamentally we need to get the economy going again. I mean, Gene Sperling today had an editorial in the USA Today where he blamed the poor economy on the tsunami in Japan, on high gasoline prices, and on what's happening in Europe. And this administration, with its policies, have made it harder and more expensive for those who are seeking to create more American jobs and more American energy to do just that. So it's the policies of this administration that have made matters worse.
Republicans have supported this payroll tax holiday idea before, most recently last year when this one was passed. What's different this time?
Well, I support it again this time. I just want to have it paid for. I don't want to add it to the debt, don't want to have it added to the deficit, and I don't think we should raise taxes on anyone in economic times like these. So I do support this. I agree with the president, but I think we should do it by cutting spending. Our problem in this country is that we spend too much. And until we get the spending under control, we're going to have continued problems. The American people know this. We're spending now 25% of our gross national product on government, and we need to get that more to traditional levels of about 20%.
Some of your colleagues, including Senators DeMint and Snowe, have said that we should be overhauling the entire tax code, that this piecemeal approach is never going to get to the bottom of the problems you're discussing. Do you agree with them, or do you think that that's just too much to hope for right now?
Well, I agree. We do need overall tax reform in this country. We need to eliminate all these lobbyist loopholes, but it's overall tax reform that I think is needed in this country, so we have a fairer, simpler tax system that people can understand without these loopholes that continue to be out there, which I think are not fair and make it much, much harder for the average American.
It is clear that the White House or the Democrats in the Senate and the Republicans in the Senate do not agree on how to pay for something like this, even though you agree it's a good idea in theory. Is there any chance that you'll be able to meet this deadline? You have a test vote tomorrow night, that you'll be able to meet this deadline at the end of the year to prevent an automatic tax cut from taking effect?
Well, I believe that we're going to work together to find a solution.
Pardon me, I meant tax hike. Go ahead.
I believe we're going to work together to find a solution that works for all Americans so that we don't have to raise taxes on anyone and can just cut spending. And a great place to start is with a hiring freeze with the federal government, as well as a salary freeze in the federal government. That's a good place to start.
What do you base your optimism on, that you'll find middle ground with one side saying we want to tax the rich and the other side saying we want to freeze federal government?
We both want to get to the same conclusion and the same outcome, which is to make sure that the American people do not see a change this year in terms of the tax benefits that they had last year. We need to keep that money in the hands and pockets of the American people. We will get to that end, and the best way to do it is by cutting spending, not by raising taxes on anyone.
Senator John Barrasso, Republican of Wyoming, thank you so much.
Thank you, Gwen.